She doesn't even go here.
I'm bi, actually.
Excuse me. Could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Hi, I'm Kurt Hummel, and I'll be auditioning for the role of kicker.
Hello. Welcome to Not So Straight Nerds. I'm your host, Alicia.
And I'm your other host, Luke.
Yes. Today we're going to talk about the CinemaCon news. We kind of thought about, there's a lot that happened and a lot that didn't happen. A lot that was talked about, a lot that was not talked about. So we kind of thought about, how do we want to format this? How do we want to talk about this? Because there's a lot of projects mentioned.
And we only have so much time to yap to you.
Yeah, so we thought we'd try to do like our top 10 and then talk about that. I mean, we can mention other stuff maybe, but we'll probably just stick to our top 10s. Yeah. I'm very interested to see how different they are.
I feel like for the most part, we'd have a lot of similar stuff, but I'm interested to see what would be different.
Yeah, and it's hard because this was our first like big event that we were trying to collect information for, and I was not really prepared for it. I was like, this is a lot more than I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, I think the top 10 will be nice. It'll be a nice way to, like, consolidate it down a little bit more. So, there's a lot of exciting stuff. A lot of exciting, I guess, like, non-original stuff, like sequels and spin-offs and whatnot. But then, there's a good amount of original stuff, too. And you got to remember, like, this is an event where a lot of people are paying to go watch. And so, it's going to be, like, franchise heavy, sequel heavy, like all these things. So I mean that makes sense to me. And
it's supposed to be an event towards people who own movie theaters and be like, this is what you have coming that's going to make you money.
Yeah. And so I saw a lot of people complaining that the film slate for certain things, it was like, oh, there's only like 2 original films on there. I'm like, yeah, because this is an event to generate talk and excitement, and it's like that's what's going to do that. These are the movies that fund your original movies. And I also love original movies, but I'm not going to sit here and act like that film slate or that's not the only movies coming out, guys. Like, it's kind of obvious. Like, it's just the ones that are going to garner more talk and make more money that will go towards funding those original films. So we have some original films on here. So, yeah, even with all that said. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Indeed.
Yeah. So
with that, first off, vibe check. How are we feeling?
Vibe check.
Clearly, we're doing great over there.
I don't know. I mean, I feel pretty good. I'm hungry, though. So I may be a little like, let's go. Let's talk about this. Because I'm like, I'm hungry. I'm starving.
Yeah, we got to get some dinner after this before we go.
I haven't eaten in 2 hours. No, just kidding.
We did eat right before we started.
I did eat lunch at like 2.5 hours ago. But I'm starving, man. I got to be honest.
Dang.
Sorry. It's the truth. It's the truth, man.
Hey,
anyways.
Live your truth.
Yeah. What about you? How are you feeling?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to talk about this. It's our first big event that we're kind of covering.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see how our conversations go, how you guys feel about it. We'd love to hear anything you enjoy us doing, any suggestions you might have on how best to cover some of this.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what you guys think and how you feel, my co-podcast host.
That's kind of what I was wondering, because I was like, well, I could try to cover this on Twitter like I did a little bit with Doomsday. Like, I would release the names as they were announced. But then I was like, well, I don't know if people want to see that, because there's so many, like, there's film updates, there's discussing film, there's Hollywood Handle, there's, whatever. All these places that are already posting, like, do they really need one more? So I'm like, do you want that? Do you want to just follow us for that information, or you're like, no, I already follow these other places? Would you rather us make a video about it, kind of dissect it? Like, how do you want to hear the information from us, basically? Yep. So this is how we're doing it this time, but there's Comic-Con down the line, there's D23, so yeah, plenty of other events. So yeah, let us know and we'll prepare next time. And we can do multiple things. So
like Alicia said, we're going to go through our top 10 things that we are excited that came out of CinemaCon.
Yes.
So we're going to see what's similar on our list, what might be different, and kind of where we place everything. So I'm very excited to talk about that with you guys today.
Yes. And also a disclaimer, on our top 10 list, this is not like top 10 anticipated for 2025, 2026. It's not what this is. And actually, some of these movies come out even after that. This is more of like, we're talking about the movies that had some sort of new information come out during CinemaCon, or like whether it was at the event or, you know, just on released during those few days. That's what we're talking about. So like the Odyssey, we were both very much looking forward to that, but that's not on either one of our lists, I don't think, because they didn't talk about it at CinemaCon, at least not that I was aware of.
Yeah.
So yeah, just keep that in mind, because you're like, you're not excited about the Odyssey? Yeah, of course we are.
We're excited about most of the things.
Yes, but
And in any case, we're going to see most of the things.
absolutely, we're gonna see most of the things, if not all the things they talked about at this event. But this is our top 10 most exciting
Absolutely.
things.
So, do you want to kick us off with your number 10?
Do you want to do like our back and forth, like my number 10, your number 10?
Yes, absolutely want to do
Okay,
back and
okay.
forth.
That's much better. I did not want to do my 10 all in a row.
Absolutely.
Ugh. Anyways, because we just filmed the birthday episode before this, so my mouth is so dry from yapping. Anyways, so I have my number 10. You might be surprised this is on my list, because I kind of hated on this a little bit, but it's actually the Beatles announcement for the 4-film feature. Okay. So I want to explain my thoughts. I'm gonna go see the films, just to be clear. I was always going to go see the films. I'm excited for all 4 actors that were casted. I'm not on the boat of like, you need to cast unknown actors. I'm like, outside of like the film world, like how many people are gonna know these people?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not much. Maybe they recognize them, but they're like, I wonder where that guy's from. So
These are not by any means movie stars.
No, none of them. And also, everyone is an unknown actor until they're in something. So it's like people want only new people to be casted in things. But then they're known. They've been in something. And so they're no longer a known actor. So do you never want them to get work again? That's what my question is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. And the way they're doing this, which is making 4 films for the 4 members of the Beatles, and they're releasing them, I think, 1 week after another for 4 weeks in a row, I think. I don't think they're doing all 4 in the same weekend.
No, from what they were saying is
One
it's
each
going
week.
to be one each weekend.
Yeah. And I
throughout
like
the
that
month of
better.
April.
Yeah. It's more like a weekly release TV show, kind of, which I think is cool. So I'm nervous on how that's going to go for them. Those are my reservations. But I am excited because I will see them. And I am going to be so honest, and I don't know much at all about any of the members of the Beatles. I've heard their names, especially like Paul McCartney, definitely the most famous of the 4, I
If they
believe.
had like a yellow submarine or something.
So, and obviously we've seen like Abbey Road, like they're walking along the crosswalk. Yes. Obviously everyone's seen that picture. And so we know of them. I've heard their songs. I like their songs, but I don't know much about them as people or as, band members. So I'm excited to know more about them, and I'm excited for the actors. And I think even though they're not unknown actors, they're not like movie stars. And at the end of the day, who cares? Because you need something to draw outside people in, which the Beatles are popular. But again, it's not like you're making a film about all 4. You're making 4 different films about each person. Mm-hmm. And so that's a lot harder of a hook for people that don't watch a lot of films, because that means they have to go to the theater 4 times in 1 month. And that's a lot for a lot of people. That's expensive for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So you have to have a draw, and I think the people that they picked are pretty good. I'm still very interested to see which one makes the most, because I think that's another one of my reservations.
Really interesting comparison.
I think it's going to be the Paul McCartney one, because again, I think it's going to be the member that's the most popular.
And Paul McCartney is played by Paul Mescal, so he was our last Gladiator. Mm-hmm.
Which, he was in Gladiator. Joseph Quinn's about to be in the big Fantastic Four movie. Barry Keoghan's been around for a few things, and
our Saltburn King.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyways. And then Harris Dickinson, I think, is the other guy's name?
Yes.
Yeah. And he was in Baby Girl, but he's been in some other things too. Yeah. He was one of the ones that people think might play Cyclops when the MCU brings their own original people in, and I think that'd be a good pick, actually. He's one of the 2 that I really like. The other one's the guy that plays Nightwing in the Teen Titans live action show. And I like him too. But anyways, so I'm excited for it, and that's why I put this in number 10. I'm just a little scared on what the performance is gonna look
And
like.
what company is doing the Beatles thing?
I don't know.
I don't remember either.
I do not know that.
That's very interesting. Interesting
But
thoughts.
we'll see. It's an interesting concept.
I
that
think it's a really
hasn't been done
interesting concept.
that I've known of. So cool. Yeah.
So
What's your number 10?
My number 10. Thank you for asking. You also had a lot of thoughts on this one, and I'm putting this here not because I'm more excited about it than others, but I think it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of standard it sets going forward. And so number 10 for me is How to Train Your Dragon 2 was announced that it is already
Okay.
going to
Yeah.
be put into pre-production before the first live action comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Alicia have talked about how Universal is clearly trying to model Disney in its early live action remakes days.
Yeah.
And I think,
Which
like
was
it was back
strong.
then, people are really excited to see actors take these roles and have performances out of it and see great production design and costume design and see the work that brings these things to life. And I think the longer that trend kind of went on, it kind of ran into a wall.
Yeah.
And you get some questionable quality in some of the stuff they're trying to bring to life super quickly
Yes.
to match their demand or whatnot. So I think it's really interesting to see Universal on its second go straight into a sequel animated movie, which Disney has not done.
Not
in a
really.
live action
I mean,
yet.
they've done like Maleficent 2, they've done Alice in Wonderland 2,
but
but
they
they're not
haven't
based off
remade
anything.
a
Yeah,
sequel
exactly.
to any of their live action remakes.
Which I don't know out of the ones they've done if there's even a good one to pick from.
Not inherently, but I think it's
Not
going to
that I
be
can
really
think of off the top of
interesting
my
with the
head.
idea of you bring people in here to see you bring these characters to life.
Right.
They see it, they feel how they feel about it, and
Yeah.
they're like, but now you have to wait to see the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But then as your audience member, you can be like, wait a minute.
But I have the
don't.
sequel.
I
Yeah.
can go home and watch the sequel right now.
It's
And
not
so
like
it's going to be interesting to me to see how they manage to keep trying to build that audience back once you've already seen it.
yeah. And
the
that
first
means
go at it.
the first movie really has to hit like they're hoping it will.
Yeah.
So they're betting a lot if they're confident enough in a sequel.
And at CinemaCon, they revealed, I believe they played the How to Train Your Dragon movie, and reception out of
Yeah.
that was really positive. And I think we're definitely in a place where it could have been negative, maybe? I don't know. It is also an event that people paid to go see.
Because they did also, what is it, race swap or race bend Astrid, which a lot of
Yes.
people, because I roll anyways, because people are stupid. Even though she looks great, her hair's awesome. Like the braids, I'm like, I love it. I love it. Anyways, but people are gonna be people. But it's interesting that conversation kind of died, at least that I've seen, and everyone's just excited for it. So
Yeah, I think a
It's
part
very
of it is
interesting.
people wanting to show that Disney did it wrong
yeah,
or something. But this is truly just how Disney was in the early
Yeah,
years of it.
yeah.
So
and
it's going to be very interesting to see how they try and keep this the heart of the original, but not
Yep.
remaking
What are they gonna
step by
remake
step
next?
because people. But then again, people complained about the original, the Lion King remake being the original
Too
step by step,
original.
but worse. But
That-
then that's still meant to make $1 billion. So
So that's my reservation quality wise. Yes, I still think this movie's going to make a lot of money. I don't know if it's going to do what Lion King did. Because Lion King's Lion King. I mean, that's in its own
Sure.
ballpark. But I do think that this movie seems to have garnered a lot of positive praise, which is great. And I'm hoping what the Lion King could not do quality wise, which is, it bragged that it was just like the original, and it was, except it just lost all of its charm. And so it was inherently worse. And I'm hoping this movie can keep its charm, because I think that's the key that's really going to make it succeed quality-wise and praise and criticism-wise, as well as, financially. So,
Sure.
because, at the end of the day, Lion King did great financially, even though people kind of hated it. So, but that's also my reservation is you're having fun now, just like you had fun when in the early ages of Disney live actions, and wait for Shrek. Wait for Shrek and wait for Minions, and you're going to hate it. So, we'll see. It's going to start off great, and I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. So, but it's not going to last. So, just wait. but it's okay. Anyways.
So that's my number 10. What's your number 9, Alicia?
My number 9 is Zootopia 2. We do not know a lot about this film, but I liked the first one a lot, and I love Ke Huy Quan, and he is playing, spoiler, the villain. He's playing a snake. He's playing a little villain. I did little fangs for my little thing. Anyways, and I love him, and so I'm very excited for him. I know a lot of people are, for some reason, they're making fun of him for being in this movie and be like, man, I can't believe he won an Oscar and then went on to do Zootopia 2. I was like, that's one of his better films, which, you know, hasn't come out yet, but like, guys, Love Hurts just came out. You're hating on Zootopia 2?
That's so real.
Also, for a guy who quit acting for a while because he wasn't getting any roles, I'm just happy he's getting roles. Like, good for him. Let him have fun. Who cares? He got that Oscar and now he's getting those paychecks. So let him live.
Yeah.
I don't care. Same with RDJ. I'm like, and you know what? At the end of the day, he came back for a paycheck. So good for him. He won that Oscar and now he's getting a fat paycheck. So good for him. Whatever. And Zootopia 2 is not the movie to make fun of him for. You had that chance and that chance passed for Love Hurts.
Yeah.
So
For real, for real.
anyways, I'm very excited for that film. And that film is also one of those that's expected to maybe make $1 billion because the first one did. So
I would put I would believe this is one of the highest chances of getting $1 billion this year.
yeah, I agree.
So hopefully he gets the money for it because they're clearly hyping up the fact that he's in this with such an important role.
Well, and he has such a fun personality and such a fun voice. So I think voice acting is going to be really fun for him. I'd be surprised if I didn't love it.
He has some really fun voice roles.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
So my number 9 is an original work, and I don't
Okay.
know much about it. I
Okay.
only saw what you put in the notes.
Okay.
Let me find it really quickly.
I put mine in a concise order.
Oh my gosh, where did he go? Okay, I found it.
Okay.
So it is called The Running Man.
Mm-hmm.
It is starring Glenn Powell and
Yes.
Coleman Domingo as game show hosts,
Yes.
which already I'm sold.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Coleman Domingo host a game show with Glenn Powell.
Anything Coleman
That's
Domingo's
a vibe.
in.
Love
Mhm.
Coleman Domingo. I think Glenn Powell has some awesome work under his belt. And then it's also going to be an adaptation of a Stephen King story. And Edgar Wright's doing it?
Mhm.
Interesting. I
Yeah,
think that all
that's what
sounds
I-
very exciting to me.
Yeah.
So thriller, horror, Coleman Domingo, Glenn Powell. I will be seated.
Yeah.
And I think I've recently heard people talk about Stephen King adaptations,
Mm-hmm.
and I think some of them may not hit as hard as others, but I think just I don't know, Stephen King's story hits a lot for me.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't think it's great, I still enjoy.
Yeah, it's still thought-provoking, and I don't think the problem has been Stephen King. I think just some of the adaptations have not been, honoring the original, because his originals are great, so, for the most part, so, yeah. I also put that in my honorable mentions. That is not in my top 10, just because I don't know enough about it, but I actually put also Steven Spielberg is making a UFO film starring Coleman Domingo. That's all I know about that.
Ooh, that sounds awesome.
But that's enough for me.
Please get him an Oscar.
I know, for real. It's overdue. He's Rustin and then Sing Sing, like, come on. There's been other great contenders, but like he's so talented.
He is too talented and too there.
Same with like Timothy
Too
Chalamet.
often.
I'm like, that's not. I'm disappointed every time he loses, but that's why I'm not worried because I know it's going to happen eventually for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I really, really am rooting for Coleman Domingo though, and that's great that he's getting so much work. Good for him. He just way deserves it. So, yeah.
So that's my
excited
number
for him.
9. So what is your number 8?
So my number 8 is actually Jurassic World Rebirth.
Oh.
I really did not like the second or third Jurassic World movies. However, I really liked the first one, and I really liked the first Jurassic Park movie. This one feels like they're really, really campaigning that this is going to be like the classic Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. It's going to be like the book or have, scenes from the book that they didn't use before. It's going to be scary. They said it's going to be more realistic. And I love that. And I love Scarlett Johansson. I love Jonathan Bailey. I love Mahershala Ali.
Mahershala Ali.
it has a great cast, and so far when they have rebooted the franchise, the first one is great.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think
So
typically across the board when they're planning to reboot a franchise, the first one starts really strong
Yeah.
and then they just don't know where to go from it.
yep,
So this one
So at least
will
this one I'm
probably
excited.
be a pretty enjoyable
yeah,
ride.
yeah, and the trailers look good. Like it has me hooked. So I'm excited.
Very interesting.
Yeah. What's your number 8?
My number 8, throwing it back to the Beatles movies.
Okay.
I think
okay.
I'm very excited to see movie studios changing the way people kind of go to the movie theaters. I
Mm-hmm.
like the idea that you're going to come back and see the same story from 4 different sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be really interesting. I think clearly to make that work, you have to have very different movies
Yeah.
with those 4.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've announced if they're all going to be directed by the same person. I feel like they almost have to. I think it would be
Probably.
fascinating if you looked at possibly different directors for those 4 different
That's a
movies.
risk, but it could pay off really well.
Yeah, I
so.
think there's just so much you can do if this works. I think it's going to set
Yes.
such a fun precedent to have studios and directors experiment with the kind of experiences that
Yeah.
people have in theaters and what they come back for and giving them reasons to come back. I think it would be so cool if you see like a character acts weird in the first movie and then they don't really talk about it and then it's like, oh, but don't you want to know why that happens? And
Yeah.
it's like, well, maybe I do want to know. You have to sell me on why I want to know.
Right,
but
exactly.
I think there's some really interesting stuff you can do with that whole just concept, and I think they have 4 really strong and talented actors.
I agree.
I think people have appreciated these actors before. I think this is going to be some of the most, maybe not the most mainstream because some of them are getting huge opportunities right beforehand. But I think it's going to be a really good mix of potential Oscars contending and mainstream,
I
which I
was
think is
about
going
to
to be
say-
really interesting.
I was about to say, because actually, the year that it's supposed to come out, the following Oscars is the 100th anniversary, which I think would be so fun if 4 out of 5 spots are the Beatles, which I doubt that's gonna happen.
I would doubt it,
but
but-
that would be so cool, right? And then who wins? You know, like that's just crazy. So
Yeah, and
That-
then
it
I can
prevents
so
fun opportunities.
clearly see people getting into like factions of like, which movie are you on? And I
Yep.
think that could be such a fun
yeah,
thing. Obviously, the internet will turn it evil, but
yeah.
I'm so excited for the 5
The start
seconds
of
that'll
it.
be really
Yep.
fun.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be like a new kind of Barbenheimer situation where it's just like
Yeah.
we're just there celebrating movies and I hope all 4 of them do well and that's the point. That should be the point. And I'm excited for the concept.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's my number 8. What is your number 7? Oh God.
This is a wild one to follow up to the Beatles. I put Megan 2.0. I put Megan 2.0 because I love the first film. It's so
Wow. Okay.
it's so like almost like bad it's good kind of situation, but they just so accept and they know what they're doing and they have a brand.
It's very
And
campy.
it's like, yes, it's so campy. They're not trying to, revolutionize. It's just so fun. It's just so like wild what's happening. And you just have such a great time. And the second one looks so great. And
and they have a
just, like,
trailer drop here at CinemaCon.
Yep. It just seems so fun. Very excited for it. So I can't lie. I'm very excited for this. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Very fun.
What's your number 7?
My number 7, bringing it back to Jurassic World Rebirth.
Okay,
I
good.
think it looks really fun. I think they're trying to say it's the most realistic version yet, which I think is going to be really interesting to see.
It's interesting
that
because their
works
main
for them.
big bad dinosaur is a like based off Alien as well, which is not realistic.
Not
so
realistic. So I think, but however, I
Yeah.
think it looks so cool.
yeah, I agree.
I think the giant dinosaurs so far, the action sequences in the movie look really interesting. Love being
Shots
on the
look great.
island.
yeah,
So it just looks so fun. I love the ensemble, like you said. I don't think I saw a single shot from the trailer that looks worrying at all. Looks
I
like a really
agree.
fun time. I think the idea of actively hunting for the DNA of the biggest dinosaurs sounds like a really fun place to be.
yep.
to watch rather, but
And you know what? At the end of the day, at least in this movie, the bad, quote unquote, bad guys or the scary part of the movie is actually dinosaurs and not bugs like the last movie. Oh my gosh. I can't even.
the down bugs.
At least it's dinosaurs. At least you have a dinosaur movie with dinosaurs as the main scary component. Crazy that they would miss the mark with that one. But anyways. Anyways. Yeah.
So what is your number? What are we on?
6.
Six.
Mine is an original, I believe. Well, it's like an adaptation from a book.
Okay.
And it's called Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling. So let me see if I can find that real quick. It has a very interesting concept, and I like Ryan Gosling.
Sure.
So it is an Amazon film starring Ryan Gosling. He is a biology teacher who must travel through space after the sun begins to erode. He wakes up on a spaceship with no memory of who he is or how he got there. It's directed by, which this is a wildly different film, or so it sounds like. But it's directed by the directors who did 21 and 22 Jump Street, the Lego Movie, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Whoa.
But you know what?
That's
I
a pretty goated
love those
slate.
films. So like, dang, like, okay, it's very different concept, but I'm sold. The cinematographer did Dune 1 and 2, and the creator, the Batman, and Rogue One. So like, it's gonna look great,
That sounds awesome.
right? And the writer, which this sounds kind of similar to the Martian movie. I don't know if you've ever seen that one with Matt Damon.
Yes,
It's really good.
That's really good.
And the writer's coming back who did the Martian. So yeah, I mean he's done it before. He can do it again. You know.
Yeah.
So I have full faith in this movie. Again, love Ryan Gosling. It's gonna include an ET type alien character named Rocky. A friendship between Rocky and Ryan Gosling's character, or Ryland Grace is his name.
It kind of gives me Spaceman vibes.
I'm just excited. I'm like, I love space movies. I love Ryan Gosling, and the crew gives me a lot of confidence in this. So yeah.
It's very exciting.
I could probably put this higher, honestly, but I put it at number 6 for now.
That's a good point. I don't think I sat with that one long enough to recognize that one. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
My number 6, which I feel like you have this one, it's just much higher,
Okay.
is The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
I think I really enjoyed watching The Last Airbender for the first time. I think it still is super great. I love how it's super fun. There's so much action. There's so much heart and character growth. And it has so many great themes that are relevant to basically every generation. I think it's just such a timeless show when these characters are so, like, they're classic characters. I'm so excited to see a movie around this. And I'm guessing it's going to be animated. I can't remember where you put all that stuff.
Yes.
But and Steven Yeun is supposed to be a character in it, which is also very exciting. I think a lot of people are going to be really excited to see Aang again. And I'm definitely
And Dave
in that
Bautista
boat.
is also going to be in it.
Interesting.
Which he's had an interesting filmography, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Voice work. I don't know if I've ever seen him do or heard him do voice work.
He was in the
I feel like he
Boy
was
and the
in-
Heron.
Oh, right. Yeah. So good for him.
Yeah, he was in an
Also-
Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah, there you go. Good for him then. Which, you know, he was in. Wasn't he in the first Dune? Or was he just in the second? Am I crazy?
I think he was in.
Well, either one. Both of them are Oscar-winning films.
Right.
Right.
But for voice work, he's already
Yeah.
been in something that's been Oscar-winning. So
Yeah.
very good for him.
That one is on my list. We will get there.
So now you're on number 5.
5.
Five.
Nope, you're right. 5.
5.
I put After the Hunt. It is starring Io Debris. I think that's how you say her name.
I
Am I
believe so.
crazy? Anyways, Andrew Garfield and Julia Roberts.
I saw that. That was also.
I was
close to
like,
being on
I
my
love
list.
those 3 actors, so that sells me automatically. But it is also directed by, I'm going to butcher this name, Luca
Guadagnino?
Guadagnino. Yes, the Challengers guy.
Ooh,
Right?
That's also a
Right.
good sell.
The only thing I'm worried about is I did read that it has a white woman who wrote it, and she wrote, I think it's based off a book, I think. And she wrote it with Io Debris' character in mind as a white woman before they casted her. I think Luca was the one that campaigned for her character. So it's bringing in a racial component that the writer, well, she's white, and she didn't consider. And so that's when I'm a little worried about it. I hope it's still handled with grace and respect, because that's very important. I don't want that to be messed up. Especially because in the film, the concept is that Io Debris' character, she's supposed to be a college student who gets assaulted by Andrew Garfield's character. He's a professor, I think.
That's what you wrote down.
Or he's like a, yes. And then so she accuses him of sexual assault. And then she confides in Julia Roberts' character about it. But Julia Roberts and Andrew Garfield's character used to date or used to hook up or something. So there's something there. So I wonder if it's going to be like Julia Roberts' character acts like she's helping and maybe she doesn't. I don't know if that's going to be a factor. But anyways, it gets out on campus that she has accused him of this. And obviously because she's a black woman and he's a white man, like there's going to be that racial component, people not believing her. And it's just because she's a woman and a man, like people are going to be hesitant to believe her. And he's saying he denies the allegations because he's saying she's just accusing him of that because he caught her plagiarizing. So there's, a lot of interesting ideas there. I hope it's handled with grace. Sexual assault is something that needs to be handled with a lot of, got to be careful with that. And then also if you're going to bring in a racial component as well, especially, so you just got to be careful. But the ideas are there. The talent is there. So I'm interested to see it for sure.
Luca Guadagnino did, I think, such a good role with Zendaya in
Well, that's
Challengers.
the thing. Some people disagree.
Oh, interesting.
Some people do not like, because he was trying to bring in like a racial component to that, and some people did not think that was done well.
I was about to say, I can't off the top of my head think of a huge racial component other than the fact that she was just a successful non-white person of color.
I don't know if he has directly said he was trying to bring that in, or if people were just wanting that to be a part of the movie and it wasn't. I don't know that. But if he was trying to, I didn't see that either. And especially if other people are saying he didn't do a good job of that, then that would be worrisome. But I just don't know if that was ever his intention. And maybe it was just people wanting that to be in the movie and it wasn't. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. The ideas are there. So
because regardless, that
he's very talented.
That clearly
too.
Wasn't the intent of her character in that. And I love what I saw her character as. Yeah. And I think
she's such a strong,
at least a good amount of people loved what her character was. Because there's a reason that movie did as well as it
she's like
did,
awesome in that one.
It's completely original.
She's so nuanced and I love it.
So, but and then also with the kind of sexual assault component, that I don't think, at least off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that he's done that's similar to that. I haven't seen Queer.
Let me look.
So I don't know if there's something there that I may not be knowing.
Not that I remember.
So
there's a lot of sex in that movie, but I don't think there's assault in that movie. There's a component of like Daniel Craig's character is much older than Drew Starkey, I think his name is, character.
Drew Starkey, I think.
But it's weird because it's almost like Drew Starkey's character. Well, he's not a loser, and Daniel Craig's character is kind of a loser in that movie. So it's like, it almost feels like Daniel Craig's character, because of the age difference, is supposed to have the power, and it just doesn't. He just doesn't, because he's just a loser. It's okay. He's just a little guy. He's just trying his best. Anyways, Bones and All, I don't think there was one. Call Me By Your Name, I guess, because of that age difference and what their ages were. Some people would consider that.
But not in the country it was being filmed.
Yeah. So that's what's hard. It's like, so, I don't know. We'll have to see. Oh, and I forgot he's...
I'm sure we will hear a lot of conversations about that the closer it gets.
Yes. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is The Conjuring Last Rites. I
thought you were going to put that in there, which I have not seen these films, so I did not put that in there.
You've never seen The Conjuring?
No.
I'm going to have so much fun showing you The Conjuring.
I know.
Films.
I want to. I just haven't gotten around to it.
And you haven't seen Annabelle's either?
No. That's connected?
Same universe.
I did not know that. I don't like dolls. I really don't like dolls. I've never watched the Chucky movies. I've never watched the Annabelle movies.
I've seen all. Oh,
I'm scared.
so fun.
I'm scared.
But
I'm not even scared of the Conjuring. I'm scared of the Annabelle movies.
Oh, and then the Nuns as well.
Oh, I've seen the first one. I've seen the first Nun movie. I don't think I've seen the second one.
The second one was pretty good. So, very interesting. I'm very excited to make you watch those. I love these movies. I think there's some of... they're definitely not, I wouldn't say the best, because I don't think they're inherently super artistic or trying to be anything, but they're really fun, just modern 20th century horror movies.
Okay.
Of this classic
I'm
story
sold.
that's based off of a real story.
There you go.
It has Vera Farmiga, who kills it, and then, he's in Aquaman. I need to look up his name.
Isn't he in Insidious as well?
Yes, he
The
is.
same guy? He's
Interesting
great.
that Insidious is also getting another movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, Patrick Wilson. Those two are
Yeah.
great in those movies. I'm so excited to see them again. I didn't love the third Conjuring movie, but just being there with their supernatural
I'm looking at the cast
world that
list.
they're in, it's just super fun.
Yeah,
I think
that's great.
Insidious 6 I'm also super excited for. Unfortunately, it didn't make my top 10 list
Yeah.
because I think I'm more excited for The Conjuring. I
Okay.
would say if The Conjuring wasn't announced, Insidious would be right here in this exact same spot.
Yeah.
If I had to choose between the two, I'm going to choose Conjuring because
Mm-hmm.
I think Insidious has had way farther off movies in their franchise than the Conjuring movies have had.
Mm-hmm.
At least the straight Conjuring movies. The
Okay.
Annabelle movies can get a little weird, and then I think the first Nun isn't as good as the Conjuring, but
I liked it because I watched it on a plane trying to avoid going to sleep so I could, fight jet lag a little bit more, and it worked. It kept me awake, and I was sitting right next to one of my friends who was like 13, and I was like,
don't look.
don't look. And she did. She was in it the whole time. I was like, oh, should I pick a different movie? But it was too late at that point.
Mm-hmm. So I'm super excited to see them again. It's supposed to be the final one in at least this realm of, I'm going to guess, the Warrens
right.
as
The main
characters.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to be sad for sure because I do love these characters so much. So will we probably still get spin-offs? If this movie does good, we will.
Yeah.
I still think it's such a missed opportunity that with Max, they never had a show spinning off out of their collection and being like, here are the adventures of Diane and Edward Warren. And it's them gathering all the stuff you see in their museum. I think, it's so cool. So I'm just very excited to see this back again. I love horror. I think these are not the best, but they're definitely staples of horror in the modern era. So hopefully it's a really big finish. I'm very excited to see the next one.
Yeah. I am.
So your number 4, please.
My number 4 is Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
So I'll admit I wasn't a huge fan of the second one. It was fine, but after the first one, I was expecting and after the feedback for the second one, I was expecting quite a lot. And I will say, unfortunately, my first viewing of this movie was really, really dampened because the sound was awful. And some people might remember this, but a lot of theaters were having problems with sound issues with this movie.
Because mine was as well, and we were in completely different...
Yes, and we didn't even
places.
talk about it beforehand. We were just like, wait, I also had a problem with this. Like, what? And then we go online, and everyone's having a problem with this. And we're like, uh-oh. Because that doesn't happen, and that should not happen.
Yeah,
with
I've
a
never
movie
had
like this.
anything like that since.
If small budget movies can avoid this, you should have been able to avoid this. I mean, that's a big problem, and especially when they came out and were like, well, you need to go tell your theater, that's because, they were blaming it on them. Well, that's because they don't have the right settings.
I
It's
remember them
no.
trying to say that there was 3 different versions of the movie that had small changes. So
Yeah.
maybe that's where that
But then-
stems from.
Nobody else that I know of has ever had this problem. I mean, that's bad to
That's
have to your
crazy.
movie. So unfortunately, my first viewing was pretty horrible. I mean, I was having a miserable time because I just couldn't hear them. It was so much
Because the music was so much louder than the
Yes,
dialogue.
and I was just having such a bad time. I remember so vividly. The theater was hot, so I was just so overstimulated. I was like, I hate this because I can't hear what they're saying, and I'm sweating, and I just hate it. Anyways, So unfortunately, that really did dampen what I thought about the movie. But I even rewatched it later, and I was like, my problem with this movie still stands, even though the sound is much better. I can see what they're saying or hear what they're saying. It feels like they took a movie, split it in half, and released the first part instead of a proper part 1 and part 2. Is not like that. You still have your own story where you can enjoy the movie by itself, and this just feels like you have half a movie missing.
I completely agree.
And we're not the only ones that think that, even though we're still the like more odd ones out of like not being huge fans of this movie. There are other people that think that, so it is a thing. It's just
my thing is I love that people love this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful movie. I think
Beautiful
the characters
animation.
are great. But what I really can't fathom is people who place this above Into the Spider-Verse. I think
too.
Into the Spider-Verse is
one of the
a
best.
Perfect movie in
I
my
agree.
mind.
I thought about putting that in my honorable mentions for one of my animated films. I really did.
But this one, I can't fathom the argument. I love that people are able to make their own argument for it.
Yeah.
Will never. It's I don't know. They're just on such a different levels for me.
You know what I want to compare it to, and I hate that I want to compare it to this.
Oh, I want to hear your.
Hear me out. Let me finish my.
Let her cook. Let her cook.
Let me finish the reason I'm bringing this up. Here, please, don't come for me yet. I want to compare this to the latest Descendants movie, because Rise of Red, because that movie also felt unfinished. It felt like it was missing an Act 3.
Yeah.
And so, which that is just even by itself not as good of a movie as Across the Spider-Verse. But I have the same problem with both movies. Is it feels like it's an unfinished movie, and that's very disappointing and frustrating. Hey, but at least this one is getting a part 2, and Descendants, that was that movie.
Yeah.
So that's something going for this. And it's still number 4, but it probably would have been like number 2 or number 1.
Yeah, respectfully,
had the second one
this
did
should
better.
have been like one of the most anticipated movies because I loved the first one. I saw the first one in theaters, and I still remember
So
how
good.
awesome that was.
I agree.
And then I started getting super into film. I rewatched it. I'm like, yes, this holds up. This is a masterpiece in animation, in storytelling, using franchise, but not super relying on it to tell a great story. It's so great. And then there's this one, and it's visually just as compelling as the original, and it takes some really bold strokes to add to that. But the story just is not nearly as strong. It's still good. It's still super watchable. I would recommend it to anyone to check it out for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it is not the first one.
It's kind of like, I want to say it's kind of like the Jordan Peele, like, Nope thing. Like, I still love
Yeah,
Nope.
that's a great comparison, actually.
But it's just not Get Out, and it's not Us, you know? Yeah. Anyways, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Megan 2.0.
Yeah.
Super excited. I absolutely loved that movie.
Yep.
It's so campy. It's like just serious enough, and then it does something where it's like, oh yeah, you're not taking yourself seriously.
Yeah.
And it's so great. It's still terrifying because of this giant doll lady, but it's so funny and charming. And I really loved the original's message of, like, don't rely on technology. It's weird, and this is kind of what people look at you like when you rely on your iPad kids. And the strength in parenting your kid and making sure that they find value in real connection and not their only connection is from technology. I think people overlooked a lot of that in the original one, and people just love this super cunty doll who was killing people and slaying. And I think that's totally a part of it, and it should be. But that first one, I think, is so much more, and it's campy. I think a lot of people don't understand campiness and the idea that, like, they're bludgeoning you over the head with this, and they're doing it with comedy, and that's the idea. I think that's a lot of the same thing that I'm seeing from Death of a Unicorn, which is being poorly received from certain people. I've seen someone recently
You just
compare
don't get it.
I've seen it recently be compared or, like, called the Coco Melon of Eat the Rich, and I'm like, man,
I hate
it is
that.
a slasher movie. and people love slasher movies. It's a
Fun
creature
time.
movie. It is
It's a unicorn slasher movie. Why would you take it seriously?
like, and
it's
it's just
supposed to be campy and funny, and it is.
like and the acting is like so. It's like a campier White Lotus, which the people having that conversation adore that show. So it's like, maybe you just don't like camp, and that's so fine.
Yeah.
But then don't compare campy things to Coco Melon.
Yeah.
Like,
What? You don't think Cocomelon is campy?
no, I don't.
Actually,
Unfortunately,
I don't know anything. I'm so sorry. I
It's
don't
just
know
dancing
anything about
fruit.
Cocomelon.
It is
Yeah,
just
yeah.
dancing
Okay,
fruit.
cool.
But I think people, especially when it comes to people not getting camp, both in this case and in Megan's case, I think they also don't super acknowledge the message is very important and relevant because of people who are trying to stand up and join the rich elite class, which you can be on their side all you want. They're never going to be on your side.
Yeah.
And then in the space of Megan, like, yes, it is a problem that so many kids get more comfort from their screen time than from their family. And I think these movies are trying to build a fun audience with it, and I think Megan definitely succeeds in that. But I think at the heart there's still that theme that I think is really important. And I don't know, maybe modern audiences just can't handle campy message based films, and I think that's a shame.
They just don't get it.
Campy slashers, I'll always be there.
No, but as you were saying that, I was like, maybe not that Toy Story 5 should be campy. I mean, sure, we could try it, whatever. But I feel like that's a good message that they should dissect when doing a movie about iPads taking over toys. Like, yeah, maybe you should watch Megan, like, unironically.
Yeah, unironically, it's the same message.
Yeah.
And people at least were really excited to see Megan. Why were they excited to see Megan? And at least hear that message, whether they digested it or not.
Yeah.
And maybe look at why they didn't digest it and see how you can do that in your movie.
Yep.
So, yeah. But the trailer dropped. I think it looks so great. It's
I
like
loved
bringing
the first
campiness to
teaser.
a whole nother level. And I adore it so much.
Yep.
They're clearly leaning into the craziness.
Yeah, they know they know they have
so-
found their brand, they've found their people, and they are catering to those people, and I think that's so smart.
I'm just so excited to see what this franchise continues to be, because there's no way it stops here.
No, and I'm
I'm so
glad they
excited for
know
it to
that they
keep
have a
getting weirder.
fan base. Like, good for them, because they do. So for every hater, they have 3 fans or whatever. So good for them. I'm very happy for that, and I agree. I hope it goes on much longer. So
So
I'll be on
what
board.
is your? We're in our top 3. What is your number 3?
this is where we get to talk about Legend of Aang: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
That's my number 3. I just love that show so much. I even liked parts of the Korra show, even though it's, not as good as the first show. I feel like you've said this in the past, where I think it has a really strong peak of the show. Even if it has lower lows, it has really high highs.
Because if I may jump in real quick before I let you continue talking.
Yeah.
My take between the two shows is I think season 2 of Legend of Korra is the best Avatar season.
Yeah.
But
Period.
it's followed by the 2 worst Avatar
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah.
And I think the first season's a really good intro.
So, yeah, I like the franchise. I will say though, I've never seen them do a movie yet. So this one
Oh,
sounds
you didn't
like
watch the Legend of the Last Airbender movie?
we don't need to talk about that, anyways. Or the show was better, but it they tried to be Percy Jackson, they weren't Percy Jackson, like in terms of quality increase. So unfortunately, anyways, so because there's supposed to be like the Avatar gang movie with like all of them.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what this is.
I don't know.
We don't
they
know
just
a lot
showed
about it.
Aang, so I don't know if this is supposed to be like a different movie from that. Because I was really excited for that one, but I don't know what happened to that movie. So maybe it's now this, and it just has a different title. I don't know if it ever had a title.
We never heard of
I
it
don't know.
before.
Okay, so maybe this is the same movie, and either way, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's just always fun to see the Avatar doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I hope they find really inventive ways to do Avatar stuff. I think that's always
Yeah.
super exciting to see them use.
Excited to
abilities
see
for
a
the first
movie
time.
now instead of a TV show. It'll be
Yes, I
interesting.
think it's gonna be really interesting seeing how well that works because clearly, similar to Minecraft, it's gonna pull such an older audience than people
Yep.
who've never heard of this franchise would think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really interested to see what kind of pull that has.
But then also, this can very easily pull a new audience too because it's such a great concept of just the 4 elements. Like, that's so cool.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think it's going to have a big fan base.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna be
hope
very
they
exciting.
advertise it. Surely they will. Really hope they don't drop the ball on that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Anyways, what's your number 3?
My number
We're getting
3,
into top 3.
throwing it back to Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse.
There you go.
I think the art's great. I think they spend the entire second movie building up to this movie, and so I'm very excited to see what I've been waiting so long for.
Did you see that tweet where, because it was supposed to have come out last year around this time, they said, is a year a long enough time to say this movie sucked, even though it didn't come out? They were just making a joke that it was like supposed to come out a year ago. This movie sucked. I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
It's like, okay.
This, like any animated movie, I'm like, take all the time you need to make this work.
Absolutely.
Especially something that is so artistic in its design and animation.
Crazy that they thought it was going to come out last year.
Yeah. I like that voice work. Those voice recordings are probably getting cold because of how long this animation takes.
Yep.
So hopefully, I'm sure it'll be worth the wait. I'm fingers crossed that I feel the same way watching this that I did watching the first Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. I hope it makes the second one click for me.
Maybe.
So
Maybe
like
it'll.
more how it did for other people.
Sure.
So yeah.
Maybe. And that's my thing. Like, it's similar to, I think, what people were saying with House of the Dragon, or season 2, and it's like, cool. You'd spent this entire season building up to this war that was already being built up to, and now we're officially there as of the finale, and it's like,
Cool,
or you
but now we have to
just
wait
had
for the
war.
third one. Yeah.
That's what we were wanting to see. So,
I was like, cool. Did we need an entire season?
did we need
for
an
the lead-up?
entire movie in the spider
lead-up?
base explaining and spelling out why he's a problem? I don't know. Some people think yes, so clearly
I
enough
think-
people think yes.
I will say, I think Across the Spider-Verse is a better lead up than House of the Dragon
sure.
season 2 was. So it's certainly a much more entertaining one. And, it's way less like screen time than like an entire season's worth of screen time of lead up. So, but yeah, it is a similar argument. I think that's a good thing to bring up.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
So, but I think they showed a couple images. Super excited to see an evil Spot. I think he looked chilling whenever he was officially like reverse
great.
Spot.
Yeah.
So excited to see that grow. So excited to see our new and old characters returning.
Yeah.
Want to see some awesome moves between them and their different animation styles. Like, I really hope this is what I thought Across the Spider-Verse was going to be.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that it will be.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, you're number 2.
My number 2 is Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping.
Yes.
I'm so excited for this. Honestly, I could put it in number 1 too, but I really like my number 1 as well. Gosh, I love the Hunger Games. Also, I will be owning the book soon. Let's just put it there for my birthday. I may know that I'm getting it for my birthday. I put it on my list because I was like, I want to like open it as a present and like be excited. And then I was gonna go to the bookstore and my mom was like, "Don't buy
Don't go
this
to the
book."
bookstore.
And I was like, "I'm picking up what you're putting down, okay?"
That's funny.
So I'm gonna read it soon. So in like a week and a half probably, because I'm gonna get it in about a week. So yay! I'm excited because I've heard it's good. I've heard it's very sad. Obviously, most of them, all of them are.
No.
So that's kind of the point. But
Dystopian.
I love Haymitch, and I'm, again, this is one I trust Suzanne Collins. She only writes something when she has something to say, and so far that has paid off really well, in my opinion. I liked the last book. I still think it was just way different than
Ballad of Songbirds and
Songbirds and Snakes, yes. And same with the movie. It was just wildly different. But I hope they're finding, like, their new footing, because I'm okay if it's not, like, the trilogy, because I don't think it's trying to be. I think it's just building upon that, and I think that's cool.
I really like the Songbirds and Snakes movie. I never read the book, but I really enjoyed that movie for what it was.
Mm-hmm. I think the movie is low-key more entertaining at times because the book is just from Snow's perspective. You only ever hear from his perspective, and that can get really depressing because he's very like, my life sucks. Everything sucks. My friends suck. This bad thing has happened to me, even though he's like not in the Hunger Games.
Not the one
he's
in the
like,
cage killing children.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, Snow, whatever. The movie is at least better because you get way more perspectives. You're like, okay, thank goodness. But anyways, I still liked the book, but it was funny. Anyways, I'm excited for the new book and the new movie. Yeah. They can make as many as they want, and I will be seated. So, yeah. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Zootopia 2.
Okay.
I think
much higher than mine.
I'm very excited for this movie. I love the first one. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited to see what and the commentary was very of its time in the first, honestly before its time in the first one. I think the conversations have always been had about the themes in the first one.
Yeah.
And I think it came right before it started being a forefront to most conversations. Yeah. In our time. So I'm very interested to see where this team wants to carry the conversation into this next one. Love Ke Huy Quan. I think he has such a unique voice. I loved the idea of the snake being in the movie, and then to find out he was voicing the snake was, I love that for him.
Perfect casting.
I'm very interested to see them add reptiles in, because there are no reptiles or non-mammals in Zootopia.
Yeah,
which is why, because Sing came out sometime after Zootopia, and I was like, oh, so this is basically Zootopia with fish and non-mammal characters.
Okay.
Interesting. And they're adding, and I've seen some, like, there's the chameleon, like, Secret Service members in the poster, and I love them.
Okay.
I'm so excited to see them in the movie. I think there's just so much fun they can do with the continuing of this concept. And
love Nick and Judy.
These characters again. I think we're going to see some of the fun returns. We'll probably see Flash doing something. Idris Elba's coming back, I'm sure. But
why are they in therapy? What happened? What happened?
But anyways. I think I'm just super excited. I think there's a reason that this one is what people are thinking will be another $1 billion picture this year.
I agree.
And I think there's a reason for it. I think the first one's really strong, and I think they're setting up the second one to continue the legacy of that.
When I think, especially with the release date, they're hoping it's like a Moana 2, but I do hope it's better than Moana 2, you know?
For sure. So, honestly,
not that I disliked Moana 2, but it was definitely a step down from the first one.
But you know what? This one isn't a musical. They might have a song in there, so if it keeps the story quality of Moana 2, solid. And we don't have to keep...
true.
Like, I hate going to a musical.
Because it doesn't rhyme.
This was what... Moana 2 was what Mean Girls the musical was to everyone else. Where every time they started singing, I was like...
Ugh. Every time the girl who played Katie started singing, I was like, ugh. And everyone else, Renee Rapp, I was like, yes! The girl who played Karen, she was great. I was like, yes. Like, yeah, and then...
But so they only have one song probably in this movie. And as long as that's a fine song, to be fair, Try Everything.
Such a good
song. It's a great song. So... They've peaked before. I think, unfortunately, if they add a song, it will be compared to Try Everything.
Yeah.
So try not to stumble there, but
we'll see.
Overall, still so excited.
Yeah, I agree.
Your number one from CinemaCon. I'm curious because I think it's going to be the same thing. Is it? Ooh, I'm curious. Go for it. I'm scared. Okay, go.
Spider-Man
Brand New Day!
Yes! Guys, I freaking love Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. And here's my hot take. I like all 3 versions.
Sure.
I will obviously acknowledge, like everyone else, that there are better Spider-Man movies and worse Spider-Man movies. But I think for most people, their favorite is whoever they started watching first.
Sure.
Mine was Tom Holland. Because I watched Civil War in theaters. That was my introduction to a Spider-Man film that I really sat down and watched. I think my dad, like if it was on the TV on cable, he would watch the old Spider-Man films. So I'm sure I had seen clips from them. But I wasn't super into movies at that time unless I saw it in theaters. And so obviously they weren't in theaters yet. So I didn't watch the Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield ones till later. So Tom Holland was my big introduction to that. So I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, which, you know, his films aren't perfect, especially Far From Home is not the best, but I loved Homecoming. I love him in Civil War, and I loved No Way Home. And I liked Far From Home, even though it's definitely, I think, for one big reason, him not being in New York. He's not the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man because he's not in his neighborhood. Because he's far from home. So I think that just, you know, took some charm away. But I still think, you know, it's an enjoyable film. I would say I enjoy all the films. Even if, you know, quality-wise, there's definitely some that are not as good as others. Uh-huh. But, yeah. So I really like his films. I love Tom Holland as an actor. I think he's great. I think he's hated on far too much just because he's like the most modern Spider-Man. I'm like, that's kind of silly to me.
Someday they're going to replace him in like 20 years, and then people are going to be like, man, this new kid is nothing like our last one. What a downgrade.
It's nothing like
And
Tom
it's going to be
Holland.
the exact same people who are saying that about him right now.
Although I will say, one of the reasons I really like him is because he's the first one that has felt like a kid to me.
Sure.
Andrew Garfield's was very charming, but he never felt like a kid to me, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously neither did Tobey Maguire. They weren't even trying, man. Come on. Anyways. So, I mean, there's a lot of other things to like about their movies, but they never feel like a kid. They never have that youthful charm and immaturity and, like, naivety. Is that the word? Yeah. That Tom Holland has. And so it's just such a fresh take. There's such different takes, too. I'm like, that's why I just don't even care to compare them because they're all just, you know, they have pros and cons in their own rights. And they're all different. So they're enjoyable for different reasons. So, yeah.
That's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah. And so Brand New Day, I've read about what the comic is like, and it seems very interesting. It seems like it would make sense, and I'm excited for them to tie it into the Avengers movies that it's, you know,
right
stuck in between. Which, smart move because, well, it's Spider-Man, so it's going to make a lot of money. But definitely in between the two Avengers films, yeah, it's going to make a lot of money. So I'm excited. I'm excited what new characters they bring in, even though Zendaya's
returning. Sadie Sink is coming as a new character.
What's his name? Jacob? Ned. He's coming back too. So, I doubt they're going to have big roles, but I'm sure they'll be in at least like one or two scenes. But I'm excited for Sadie Sink, and I'm excited for what the comic was like.
Jacob Batalon.
Yes. If the movie is anything like that comic, which I'm sure it will be, because this is the first film to have the exact same name as the comic book story I read.
Sure.
So, yeah, I'm excited.
I think it's very exciting. I think Sadie Sink getting a big break outside of Stranger Things. She was great in The Whale.
And a paycheck.
In The Whale. She's definitely been working some stuff outside of Stranger Things for a while. This is the biggest thing she's done.
She was just in Odessa.
Did you watch that?
Yeah.
Was it good?
Sadie Sink was good.
Interesting. And it was a movie, right?
That's almost it. Yeah, it was a movie.
Interesting.
She actually has a really good voice, so if she's ever in a musical or a biopic of like a musician, I'm down. I'm down to watch it.
Very interesting. I'm very interested to see what this movie ends up being. Obviously, it's supposed to be kind of more adult Spider-Man, more college age, I think, is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
So on day one, kind of starting anew, no one knows who he is. I think this is a great kind of point to reset the ensemble, potentially meeting Miles at the end.
Maybe.
We'll see.
I'm okay if that doesn't happen because I'm still in the boat of I think it's too early. It depends on what they do with Miles. If they introduce him, fine. But if he's already like, you know, has the powers and is in the suit in the first movie,
I think throughout this first trilogy, the best bet would be to have him be his own character, and then towards the end, he takes over the mantle. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. That's how I want it to go. So that's what I would be okay with. And therefore, I'm okay if he's not in this movie at all. Or if he's in, like, the post-credit scene or whatever. I just don't want him to, like, be Spider-Man yet. I want it to be built up.
That
he deserves that.
So there's rumors about who Sadie Sink will play. There's talks I think people have seen and talked about there being a female villain And
yeah,
people
female
saying
villain.
it's a female person hunting Spider-Man. That sounds like Silver Sable to me.
Yeah.
Her in a white wig. I can't not see it. So possibly
Well, and if they wanted her to keep her red hair, Jackpot is an ally
Jackpot.
to
Then there's
Spider-Man.
also Menace,
For the
which is
most
a goblin-esque character with red
Yeah.
hair.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of fun things. Firestar is something that you've
Options.
talked about.
I know. I really wanted it to be Spider-Man and his amazing friends, but it's okay. I don't think she's going to be Firestar at that point.
I would not
She's not
guess
in that
so.
comic run at all, so.
But then again, Marvel always is pretty loose with their
That is true.
comic adaptations.
I
So-
I watched the show that came out, the older one,
animated
the
show.
animated one, and I liked that show. And I liked Firestar in that show, so. Yeah.
And then I also saw recently, I think in the last couple of days, that they're casting an Asian man to be a main role.
Yeah, like 30 to
and
50.
that leans us towards Mr.
Doc-
Negative.
yeah, Mr. Negative.
Who was in the first Spider-Man PlayStation game.
Okay.
And he was really great in that. That was also where Miles was debuted as
Mm-hmm.
a character, and then in the end he got his powers right in like the end
Yes.
credit of the video game. So
Well, and they also have, they could bring the Osborns in at some, in some capacity. So that there's a lot of interesting elements.
yeah,
they could do.
Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the animated show on Disney Plus, is doing a really great job of setting up
Yeah.
the Osborns. And,
Live action Coleman Domingo as Harry Osborn.
yeah,
This
I
is
don't
my
care.
campaign right now.
I don't care who is gonna try and talk down about that. Anyone who tries to talk down about that has never seen Coleman Domingo act,
Invalid. So invalid if they try to.
because he is one of the most talented actors in Hollywood right now, and he is
Yeah.
get him a paycheck gig.
Exactly. Get him a paycheck. He deserves it. He's
Get him
got
a
plenty
paycheck
of other
gig,
films
and people, and honestly,
to get Oscars.
there will be a decent. I can't say it'll be the majority, but there will be a decent amount who will look between the two Osborns, and
Pick
there will be
Domingo.
people who will pick Domingo.
I agree.
Yeah,
and I think I would be one of them.
We'll see.
So
We'll see.
if
I
it
think,
happens, we'll see. At least we've got the animated version, if nothing else. He sounds so great.
he sounds so good.
Such a perfect Harry Osborn, or not Harry. What is his
Norman.
actual Norman Osborn? I was talking about Norman Osborn, obviously, when I was talking about Coleman Domingo. Anyways, but I'm excited for Harry too, potentially. So
And I don't know if they've officially scrapped the Armor Wars project yet, but an interesting setup for
I feel like
Norman would be, because at some point Norman makes his own Iron Man suit and becomes the Iron Patriot. So if Tony Stark's stuff is on sale, I can see him getting in the weapons business and then being introduced into that whole sphere and Spidey hunting.
I thought I
and
saw
all
that it was
stuff.
canceled though, but it might not be.
I don't know if it was officially canceled because we just
Okay.
haven't heard any updates in forever.
Yeah. Because they don't know what to do with Rhodey after Secret Invasion. Just erase Secret Invasion, Marvel. No one will care. Everyone will be on your side. Just erase it. Just do it. Just bring back Maria Hill as a big, clear marker. We're erasing Secret Invasion from everyone's minds.
Yeah.
And no one will care.
Yeah, have Sam Jackson and Maria Hill show back up and be like, life model decoys, what you
Well,
gonna do?
That dream was crazy. Maria, I had a dream where you died.
He's like, whoa, that's crazy.
So glad that,
would be a
really didn't
horrible
happen.
show.
Yeah. So glad that didn't actually happen.
And then we'll act like, oh my gosh, the Daenerys and Olivia Colman can still play
Yeah.
characters in the MCU
Yup.
that aren't those characters.
Yup. Oh my gosh, they deserved so much better than what they were given.
What is Daenerys' actress's name?
Amelia Clark,
Amelia Clarke. Those two deserve
great.
so much better than that show.
Mother of Dragons. And then she gets Secret Invasion. I just hate that for her. Hate it for her. She deserves so much better. Ugh.
So,
Anyways.
but those are our top 10 announcements from CinemaCon.
CinemaCon. Yeah.
So we'll definitely probably look at something similar to this for whenever the Comic-Cons and other movie and nerd-related events start putting out announcements. Let us know how you feel about that. Is that something you'd be looking forward to? Is there anything you'd probably suggest us going
Yeah.
back and forth? Do you want us to be more thorough, less thorough? Do we need to switch to a top 5?
Do you want us to, update stuff on social media as well? Or is that too repetitive with all the other people doing that? What do you want us to do?
Yeah.
We'll do it. So, I retweeted a lot of stuff on social media, so just like if you were looking at our page, you would still see it. But let us know if you want us to make like our own posts of it. So I can certainly do that when the time comes. Yeah.
But in the meantime, thank you guys so much for listening to our podcast. We always appreciate you coming down and pulling up a stool next to us. But I am Luke.
And I'm Alicia.
And thank you guys for listening to Not So Straight Nerds.
Bye.